This is the Yanks Go Yard podcast with Adam Weinrib and Thomas Carannante.
Welcome to Yanks Go Yard podcast. I'm Adam Weinrib alongside Thomas Carannante. Hectic, exciting 48 hours of Yankees rumors, but at the end of it, we're no closer to any sort of resolution at all. Jack Curry thinks the Yankees are going to trade for a starting pitcher rather than sign one. The rest of the world seems to think we're going to sign one rather than trade for one. Hey, what if we just don't get one? That also feels possible. We'll try to break it down. How much is the agents using the Yankees for leverage? How much is legitimate? And can we just please get an external addition to this roster? Anyway, the Mets are at it again. They steal a Yankees bullpen piece from last season. Not one we thought we'd bring back, not one we expected to, but in the aftermath, oh my God, are we all underrating how bad this bullpen is? Plus some international mess and an Alex Bregman mystery team. All that and more on the Yanks Go Yard podcast. Thanks for going live with us. 2 o'clock Eastern, a Monday, a Thursday. That's how you know we're on YouTube. And then afterward, on your favorite podcast platforms. Thomas Carannante, welcome to the show. Man, we're down to 17th yesterday, 14 more days of 2025 counting today. It feels like all 14 of those days will just be full of immobile bullshit for the Yankees.
Feels like it. A week before Christmas. Can we get something? Anything? It's like we said last episode. Think it's going to be slow. Think we're looking at January. I was reading somebody, forgot who it was. Maybe it was Brian Hoke. Oh no, it was Mike Axisa of CBS. Did a little recent history of Yankees January moves. Nothing that they signed Luke Weaver in January, I think a couple of years ago. It was nothing crazy. But there is a history of activity in January. So whatever the league is doing right now in terms of suppressing the free agent market, the trade market's confusing me the most, because at the very least, people should be like, the assets there are just, you're getting prospects in return. There's no money involved. So there shouldn't be any lockout, work stoppage concerns on the trade market. Free agency, we can understand, especially for guys like Bellinger, Bregman, and Kyle Tucker. But what's going on with the trade market, and why is the trade market now dependent on the free agent market, which never really feels like it's the case unless you're talking a ton of guys being available, and that's not what's going on right now. So yeah, feels like 14 full more days of BS for us, and we'll be sitting around waiting.
I mean, that absolute slop Ketel Marte report. Ketel Marte report earlier today sort of sums it up for me. Like, at the winter meetings, we all thought the Diamondbacks were going to trade Ketel Marte in a matter of we were counting down the minutes.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Till Diamondbacks send Ketel Marte to Red Sox. We're already getting ready for it. We're finding out about his no trade clause. And here comes John Gambadoro, who's like an Arizona sports radio guy plugged in with the team, tweets today, nothing is imminent on the Ketel Marte trade front, but this is going to end soon. And you're locked in. You're like, oh my God, how soon and how? I do not see this dragging out much further. It's pretty simple. If the D-backs get an acceptable trade offer worthy of moving a superstar player, which as of now they have not, then we will likely see a trade. And if they don't, I would expect them to shut it down and move on to other areas of concern, and Marte will remain a Diamondback. So 150 characters to say this is going to end soon because they're either going to trade him or not. Okay, thanks. Then all of this time, when we're led to believe this was imminent and this could kickstart everything, and the Red Sox are trying to move pieces around, they haven't even gotten an acceptable trade offer for Ketel Marte yet. It's not like they're weighing the Mariners against the Red Sox against the Blue Jays. They don't even have an offer they would call acceptable, and this is going to end soon. They could just decide not to move him after all this. That's how it's going to end soon. Either they get an offer they like, and they currently have none, or they don't trade him at all. Wow. That summed it up for me. We heard about Marte. We heard about Mackenzie Gore, Sandy Alcantara. Edward Cabrera was supposed to go to the Orioles a week and a half ago. None of these players have moved. Somebody's going to move at some point, but right now the trade market is Sonny Gray and the Brandon Nimmo trade, and we haven't heard any movement on it. The Yankees are having an offseason that is full of silence. True. They also have not lost a single target they've been connected to. Unless you want to count Luke Weaver and Devin Williams. None of the names we think could be Yankees in an ideal world have gone anywhere. And none of their rivals have made a trade splurge that really makes us sweat. Sonny Gray, a fine addition to the team. They're still short. Like, it's been a very odd month month and a half or so, where there's been movement. There have been big money deals. The Yankees haven't been involved, but also none of the names that make sense for the Yankees have gone anywhere.
It's been an even weirder week. The winter meetings ended a week ago, and all of the rumors that surfaced there have died. Nothing has intensified since then. Like you said, the Marte rumors got weirder. The Tarek Skubal rumors disappeared. The Mackenzie Gore rumors disappeared. The Edward Cabrera rumors gone. Sandy Alcantara, haven't heard a word about him since then. Again, don't know what it is. Usually right out of the winter meetings, at the very least, you would see some legs from the existing buzz or whatever it was. Maybe it was just agents and teams feeding incorrect info just to keep the momentum going with the chatter around Major League Baseball. And then they knew after the winter meetings it wouldn't matter because everyone's going to be in the same holding pattern. You're checking out for the holidays. Everyone's going to be checking out in a week anyway, so it doesn't matter. These rumors can die. But it's frustrating, again, because this is a big season coming up with, for a lot of teams, with how they need to upgrade. Like some of these teams, they're kind of like the Yankees are one of them. Last stand, like the next couple of years, that's it. If you want to win with this group of players, 2026, 2027 is kind of just it. And then you got to, like Blue Jays, even they have some guys coming off the books over the next year or two. They got to capitalize if they want to build off of that, taking the Dodgers to Game 7 of the World Series. Even the Dodgers will have some players coming off the books within the next couple of years that will change the complexion of their team. The Tigers, 2 years in a row, go to ALDS Game 5. Like, in my opinion, if they had another middle-of-the-order bat, they could have taken the Blue Jays to the brink in the CS. The year prior, they could have given the Yankees trouble in the CS. That's a team that, fundamental baseball, good defense, good base running, like that's a bad matchup for the Yankees. So many of these teams are facing kind of make or break and nothing's happening. Very frustrating stuff. In terms of the pitching market specifically with the Yankees, I don't know. Again, don't know, can read as much as you'd like. You're not going to get any information that's concrete or leading you in a certain direction. We heard the stuff on the trade market. Sure, again, the Gore rumors died. The Alcantara rumors died. If there was anybody else, don't know. The Yankees were supposedly, forget about starting pitching, the Yankees were supposedly genuinely interested in a reunion with Luke Weaver. We'll get to that in a minute. But they were also interested in Brad Keller. Brad Keller goes to the Phillies for 2 years.
A team that was not rumored for Brad Keller at all. It was us and the Blue Jays, as far as I saw, and obviously he's got a market. If 10 teams checked in on Luke Weaver, then 8, 10, 12 teams checked in on Brad Keller. But, okay, it's going to be this Yankees, Blue Jays bullpen showdown. No, it's the Phillies coming out of literally nowhere, but paying him the Luke Weaver deal yesterday.
Yeah.
So, maybe I am the idiot with the carrot on a string. I get it. Like, there's definitely a chance that we learn nothing over the next 24, 48 hours. Is everyone who listens to this podcast and the people on it, are we all very stupid? It's possible. But I've watched a lot of Yes Hot Stove so far this offseason. I've gotten nothing. Although every time Jack Curry is on, he reiterates that the Yankees are more likely to obtain a starting pitcher from the trade market rather than free agency. And we've still, though, got Michael King connected to the Yankees this week. We know there's not a final three, but we know they're interested. Michael King has a 4-year request. Like, Jack Curry also warned us earlier in the offseason about agents tying the Yankees to pursuits they're not attached to at all. And Tuesday, we hear they're seriously interested in a reunion with Luke Weaver, and there's mutual interest. Wednesday, Luke Weaver's a Met. That feels like an example of what Jack Curry's talking about.
You think they just did that purposely to drive up the price on the Mets for fun?
Highly possible. And so you got to wonder if Michael King, who's involved with the Orioles and the Red Sox as a sentimental team, and also obviously the Mets because he's an ex-Yankee and that's what they do. You got to wonder if the Yankees are in that just to drive up the price as well. And then Tatsuya Imai. Like, Jack Curry was on, last time he was on Hot Stove, he reiterated the trade likelihood. So he's on that every episode. Tatsuya Imai, something comes out yesterday after a bunch of reports out of Japan indicating the Yankees are heavily bidding. Francis Romero saying it's going to be the Yankees and Cubs as the finalists, and Imai doesn't want to go to a team with Japanese players if he can avoid it. And the Cubs obviously have Seiya Suzuki and coming back. Shodi Imanaga is coming back as well on the qualifying offer. So for at least 1 year, he's there. Look, the Phillies, Yankees, and Cubs keep getting connected to this guy. January 2nd is his deadline. Are the Yankees in on him heavily? You believe Jack Curry? Absolutely not. There's no indication from him that the Yankees are going to be able to close this. The Yankees are even in on this, but it was raised to me the other day that he was all over Yamamoto. He was talking up the Yankees connection to Yamamoto, and the Yankees connection to Yamamoto was very real. Is it possible the Yankees asked him to downplay their connection to Imai so that fans aren't rioting when they don't get him in the same way that they were clamoring for Yamamoto updates? I honestly, it's an interesting theory. It's far-fetched, mostly because Yankee fans are still clamoring for Imai. It hasn't stopped them. Yankee fans clamor for whatever targets they want to, and if they don't get somebody, they're going to be loud and annoying about it online. So I don't think Jack Curry downplaying a connection is going to prevent Yankee fans from jumping to conclusions. That said, I'm probably an idiot. The carrot is probably just a carrot. It's not a prize. It's not something I should go grab off the stick. But I am interested in watching Hot Stove tonight now that there are legitimate Imai rumors out there. And somebody is saying the Yankees and Cubs are the finalists. And Jack Curry, who knows more about this than anybody, has been saying, I would look at a trade. I would not look at free agency. I'm interested if tonight he comments on those rumors, or if he adjusts in any way, or if he continues to say something like the Yankees like the pitcher a lot, but there's a limit to how far they're willing to go. They think Ryan Yarbrough can do the job. I agree with the comment that a starting pitcher would be a luxury in theory. But also, if you're not 7-8 deep in the rotation at this point in baseball, you're 3 deep. Like, you need so many names you can throw out. And that's why the bullpen scares me. And we'll get to that in a bit. But would it be overkill? Like, in the traditional sense, where your number 5 starter can be someone who just blows, sure. But in modern baseball, you need 6, 7, 8 viable starting pitchers with high upside. You can no longer throw out guys with 5.2 ERAs in the 5 spot the way that you could in the mid-late 90s, early 2000s. Like, some teams didn't even have 3 good pitchers back then. Now, everybody's got to be flamethrowers. Everybody's got to have a 4-pitch mix. You just can't get away with it anymore.
And the Yankees are always 1 pitcher short every year. You guys see it, and I understand it would be a luxury, but at the same time, what do you want to do? You want to pay for an additional bat on top of Bellinger, or you want to let Bellinger go and get Tucker, and you think that'll make a difference? If the Yankees are deciding to beef up one area of the roster over that, like they did it the entire beginning of the Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton era, they had no pitching in 2017, 2018, 2019. They had no pitching, and they said, we're going to get, former MVP Andrew McCutchen in here. We're going to beef up this lineup with we're going to get Edwin Encarnacion at the trade deadline. We're going to get all these hitters. We're going to sign DJ LeMahieu. They went out and they got all these guys to make sure that the offensive profiles were as diverse and as talented as possible, knowing that their rotation sucked and they had a good bullpen too. So whether it's a luxury or not doesn't matter. Again, we talk every year, get the good players, figure it out later. I don't know who would be upset if they signed Michael King or Tatsuya Imai. That would be a little bit silly, because you're getting a good player and you're improving the roster. I don't know if Jack Curry's talking about leaning towards the trade market. I don't know who you go get that is going to be like revolutionary or absolutely game-changing, or what. Like, the Yankees just would rather trade prospects than spend money. Tarek Skubal would be really the only respectable option in terms of making yourself a juggernaut, but he's probably not getting traded unless there's something the Yankees can do to really blow the Tigers away. I don't think they have the ability to make that happen. We talked about these other candidates like Mackenzie Gore last episode. You guys in the comments got pretty freaked out about that. I don't know why. Like, again, we're talking about a guy in the 4-5 spot. We're not talking about a guy at the top of the rotation. Even if Imai were to come in, he'd probably be a number 4 for now because he has no Major League Baseball experience. Garrett Cole's coming back. Max Fried is better, and Carlos Rodon has more experience. So if that's what it looks like, then that's what it looks like. It doesn't matter where he's pitching as long as he's producing. And if you're looking at these other, like, these other trade acquisitions, unless there's somebody available that we don't know about, or if there's a mega deal that's being talked about behind the scenes that we haven't heard about, then I think I could jump on board with a trade acquisition. But at this point, I'd rather the Yankees just trade for a hitter, or I'd rather if the Yankees don't want to spend money in this market, period, because you have guys, Imai's making maybe upwards of $200 million. You just saw the reports come out about Bellinger and Bregman. Bregman wants 6 years. Bellinger might want more than that, so you would have to guess 7, reasonably 7. And then Tucker is apparently holding strong with whatever mega contract he's going to get. That market is extremely prohibitive. At least every year you can get pitchers are obviously a tough asset because they can go down at any moment, but their production in terms of getting an elite starter and paying top dollar for it, like rarely do you get burned. Like the only deal that I could think about where someone got really screwed on a starting pitching deal is Steven Strasburg and the Nationals when he signed after the World Series. And that was only because he had insane injuries that were one, unforeseen, and two, like of the worst kind that you can't come back from. So I think at this rate, if you're going to invest money, have it be in the rotation, pay for one of these guys, whoever it is. I think King is the play because he can kind of top out as a number 2 if you really wanted that to be the reality. And then he's a chameleon in the back end of the rotation, just popping in when he can, throwing gems here and there, eating innings, and then go trade for a hitter. Again, I don't know what that hitter is going to look like. I don't know who's available, but that's where you're saving the money if you're the Yankees, spending money on pitching and trading for hitters. I don't agree with trading for a pitcher because I don't see anybody out there except Skubal who would make this worthwhile. Alcantara's, obviously, I would take him on my team. Do I want to deal with the last 2 down years and the Tommy John surgery implications? No, I don't. Mackenzie Gore, do I want to live in the high upside world and hope that the time with the Nationals or some of the concerning metrics with the Nationals are a result of that team just sucking and either him not being happy there or the pitching staff not knowing able to use him? Not really. I don't. There's been a lot of complaints coming out of the Yankees for how they've been handling pitchers anyway. So I'd rather them not have to take on a project and them just get a guy who's good. That's where I'm at. So we'll watch Hot Stove tonight. We'll see what's up, but I'll see you in January.
I just wish we could treat money with a little less reverence. And we always say this, Hal Steinbrenner fixated on how you don't need a $300 million payroll to win a World Series. You don't. Other teams don't. This current team does. If you don't have a $340, $50 million payroll, given what you've already backed yourself into, you will not be well equipped to win the World Series unless you hit on all your player development, unless you hit on all your prospecting, unless you trip ass backwards into Mike Tauchman and Cameron Maben like you did in 2019. You do that like 5 or 6 times in a year. Then you'll be good. But otherwise, you're in trouble. So let's see from this point forward. We're still waiting. And again, so the bullpen now, right? That mutual interest in a Luke Weaver reunion on Tuesday. Wednesday, he's a Met. And the comment earlier saying that the Yankees probably never even bid. No, they never even bid. According to the latest intel, they were not involved. And why would they be on a 2-year, $22 million deal? We could have predicted Luke Weaver to the Mets before the offseason even began. Devin Williams, I thought, was going to the Dodgers. Luke Weaver, I thought, was going to the Mets. Somehow they both go there. What the Mets are doing is legitimately insane. And I don't understand why when Mets fans push back on this, like it's not weird. Like you just have to sort of accept that it's weird. You just have to accept that it's weird. Like Met fans are like, I don't understand if they're quality play. I mean, I guess they're all quality players, but we're also talking about people coming off down years. We're also talking about Frankie Montas. We're also talking about Luis Severino after his worst season. Like we're just talking about the Mets saving everyone they can coming over from the Yankees. And are we also lying to ourselves and saying that they've all performed like exceptionally well? Like, I don't know what Devin Williams is going to do. I don't know what Luke Weaver is going to do. I know what Luke Weaver did before and after the hamstring injury. I know all about it. I also know his fastball velocity was down 0.6 miles an hour last year, and that without an upper-tier fastball, the changeup doesn't work. We saw it. He and Devin Williams teamed up to become unpitchable for large stretches of the season and never lined up at the same time as being valuable. Could Luke Weaver bounce back? Possible. Could Devin Williams bounce back? Probably more likely. But Clay Holmes last year, Clay Holmes, the starting pitcher, was a big part of the Mets' collapse at the end of the year. Could not give them length, ran out of gas. Frankie Montas, one of the worst signings in recent history. Luis Severino, first half versus second half Sevy. Again, very different. So it's not like the Mets are just poaching a whole bunch of Yankees and immediately profiting in the same way that like the Red Sox taking Garrett Whitlock and taking Greg Weissert and taking Rob Refsnyder from many teams. In fact, like the Red Sox and Carlos Narvaez keep turning Yankees non-assets into important pieces. The Mets keep taking prominent, struggling Yankees and then learning that they still have flaws. So it's strange. It's objectively strange to be shopping so consistently in one particular aisle. But whether you wanted Weaver or not, I did not want Weaver back, especially not at this price. Again, it's not my fault the Yankees consider money so heavily. If they just spent money like Chicklets, then okay, fine. $11 million a year for Luke Weaver, 2 years. Do your thing. Devin Williams for $51 million. Do your thing. I don't want either of those players back, maybe at all. Certainly not at the price they were paid by the New York Mets. But don't let that distract you from how dog shit the current bullpen is. And this is going to kind of be the hill that I maybe die on for the rest of the offseason. I'm glad the comment section brought up Danny Coulomb. If you're making trades, Jojo Romero, like try to get creative. Hunter Henry. Sorry, that's the tight end. Hunter Harvey, Sean Armstrong. The list of names that are still available came out this morning, and it's pretty ugly. But the Yankees' current bullpen, David Bednar, Camilo Doval, Fernando Cruz, Jake Bird, Tim Hill, Brent Hedrick, Rule 5 pick Cade Winquest, Yerry De Los Santos. Last year at the end of the season, the Yankees, during the season, the start of the season, the Yankees had the worst bullpen I have ever seen. The New York Yankees have. Not the worst bullpen in baseball history. This is a team with a proud tradition of having 4 late inning arms you can trust, followed by solid middle relievers. Last year's bullpen was completely unusable. By the end of the year, who did you trust? David Bednar, Tim Hill, Devin Williams in the playoffs. And we know what Tim Hill is. He's not a fireballer. He's not going to come in a situation where you got to blow 98 past somebody. David Bednar, the closer, I trusted him. Tim Hill, I knew exactly what I was getting. Devin Williams had rebounded and was now a solid 8th inning guy. Weaver was unusable. Camilo Doval was unusable. Fernando Cruz was up and down, had his moment. Red Sox fans like to tell you he celebrated like crazy after a 400-foot nuke to center field. I mean, whatever. That's pitching. That's baseball. Cornerbacks celebrate when the wide receiver drops a pass they didn't touch. That's life. But Fernando Cruz had his moments, had his down moments. Jake Bird wasn't in the major. Shouldn't have been. Brent Hedrick, a guy who intrigued me, but not a guy who's in the major leagues at the end of the year. They had 3 guys I trusted, one only for a specialized role by September last year. And one of those guys, I didn't want to bring back Devin Williams, but one of those guys is gone. You have a closer you can trust. Closers are volatile, but I trust David Bednar. Yeah. You have a lefty reliever you can trust. You don't have a single other piece you can trust. Think about having a 4-2 lead in the 6th inning on opening day. Who's getting the ball? Probably Tim Hill. Who's getting the ball in the 7th? Someone you don't trust. Who's getting the ball in the 8th? Someone you don't trust. That's where we're at right now. So with all of these, the rotation, you could beef it up for sure. The lineup, you got to think about Cody Bellinger in his 6, 7, 8 years. You got to think about platoons. You got to think about giving Aaron Boone options. You could think about all these things. The bullpen is empty. 2/3 empty. I don't want people to forget about this. It's unusable.
Yeah, thank you. Very unusable. The Mets have given former Yankees closers $110 million between Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, and Clay Holmes. Ridiculous. On that note, were any of these guys going to be assets for the Yankees bullpen in 2026? Like you said, I think we could have made the argument for Devin Williams, especially with how he figured stuff out down the stretch. Notice that, again, whatever pitch adjustments, everyone's saying he's crying. Like, oh my God, Devin Williams calling out the organization. He's like, no, he was asked a question about what happened, and he said, they thought a change in my arsenal would be beneficial and make me better. It didn't, so I went back to my old stuff, and it ended up working. It happens. Like, Do I think the Yankees are dumb for trying to tinker with one of the best closers in the game? Yeah, I do. So let's stop doing that, maybe. Again, whatever it was, it didn't work. I wasn't really keen on retaining Devin Williams at $18-17 million a year, whatever it was. Luke Weaver, I think the plan with Luke Weaver with the Yankees, and sue me for being a pessimist, but when they saw him kind of crater, and you all noticed it, he was being wildly misused, being brought in the 6th and 7th inning, even when he was the best, like one of the better relievers in the bullpen. Aaron Boone was still treating him like, oh, I need a guy to get me to the finish line. Here comes Luke Weaver. And Luke Weaver would shut down the opposing lineup. He had his ups and downs. Not denying that. Had his injuries, was overused a little bit. I think came back from that injury a little bit too quickly. Again, another situation where he said, my mechanics were messed with a little bit. My usage was messed with a little bit. Didn't really work out. So would rather go back to, in his opinion, hey, whatever happened in 2024, that was better. Let's do that. But I think the plan there was once the Yankees saw he got injured and then he wasn't his same self, they sat back and they said, we could probably get Luke Weaver back at a bargain next year. Mm-hmm. And now let's not use him in the highest of leverage situations because we don't want him to improve his market. Look, this game's a business. I'm not accusing the Yankees of doing this. This is just what I think is part of what happens when you have a situation where you don't want to force, like the Yankees were trying, the deal when the Yankees acquired Devin Williams, for example, was to shepherd him into free agency and give him the best situation possible, which is why they gave him a lot of runway in the closer role, which is probably why down the stretch they said, go back to whatever you're doing, try to salvage whatever market you have left at this point. It just didn't work out. For someone like Luke Weaver, where the Yankees kind of reconfigured him and gave him a second life to his career, they probably thought they could take advantage of that again. So they said, oh, well, not doing well. Not gonna put him in a spot necessarily to succeed or get him in the major spotlight where other teams are going to notice his abilities and overpay him in free agency. So let's see how far we can get. Obviously, the Mets kept a close eye and they said, $11 million a year, you're ours. It was clear the Yankees weren't interested, or they were minimally interested, in which is why this theory is holding on for me a little bit. They didn't even make an offer to Weaver. So that means that they were waiting to see what the interest was going to be. They probably heard the Mets were interested from the beginning of the offseason, and they said, well, he's going to get a lot of money from the Mets, so we're out. We know what they're going to do. They paid Clay Holmes $38 million. They paid Devin Williams $51 million. Why would they not pay Luke? Even if they paid Luke Weaver $18 million, I don't think the Yankees were in on that. So it is what it is. But yeah, in terms of the bullpen construction right now, here's another pessimistic thought for you. The Yankees viewed their work at the trade deadline as a majority of their offseason work.
100% feels that way.
So I'm not saying that that's necessarily the worst strategy in the world. They got talented guys at the trade deadline. David Bednar has been awesome. Camilo Doval is filthy. If he is on, he's an incredibly good back-end reliever. If he's off,
I'm glad
he's
to
terrible.
have him. Yeah, I'm glad to have him.
Yeah, I agree. And it's just one of those complicated situations where it's like you're betting on, and it's what the Yankees always do. They're betting on the bounce back. They're betting on the sample size that doesn't exist. Oh, well, what if we had Camilo Doval do what he has never done for a full season? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah, that would be awesome. Not going to happen. Probably not going to happen. Sorry. And then the rest of these guys, it's just like bullpen filler. Tim Hill, lefty. You need that guy in the bullpen. You're not going to have two elite lefties. So I don't know what they're going to do at that point. Matt Strahm is available from the Phillies, apparently, Jeff Passan said this morning. So if the Yankees want to get in on that and make it happen, that would be massive. And maybe they have something the Phillies want and the Yankees don't have to give up a whole lot. That would be cool. Fernando Cruz, again, wild roller coaster up and down, either an incredible reliever who gets you out of jams or is serving up home runs. So it's the night and day aspect of these things too. And then literally beyond that is bullpen filler. Like, are they going to rely on Jake Bird? Are they relying on some of these prospects or these younger pitchers or these AAA guys to come up and move the line until the trade deadline again? I don't know, but yeah, that's why this is bleak.
Jake Bird's Baseball Reference is a horror show, by the way. Like, hey, but believe in the FIP from last year if you want to in 2023. And I'd love for Jake Bird to not be Scott Efros. Like, it would be great if we had a controllable reliever who was worth what we surrendered for him. But Jake Bird last year had a 1.536 whip. And you're like, oh my God, that's like 33% worse than it should be. Well, surely that's an outlier in his career. What was it in 2024? 1.7. I have never heard of a whip that high in my life. So, hey, if Doval and Jake Bird become viable setup men and Fernando Cruz can be, the low threes ERA version of Fernando Cruz instead of the injured one closer to the end of the year where it was sort of a coin flip, and Tim Hill can continue to be Tim Hill, and you get one breakout, whether it's Winquest or Hedrick, like, yeah, there's a way to salvage this. You need to bring in some sort of established arm, whether it's Romero, whether it is Danny Coulomb, whether it's a Sean Armstrong, whether it's 40-year-old Kirby Yates on a bargain. I don't know who it. I don't like. Again, it's going to be more of a wild card though. It's not going to be Pete Fairbanks, and it's not going to be the guys who we already discussed as potential great fits who went elsewhere. Brad Keller was the one I really wanted, and he goes.
Was that price bad? Like.
Price feels fine. 2 years feels fine. $11 million. Like Gregory Soto went to the Pirates for $7.5 million. That guy sucks. Seranthony Dominguez is another one who's available. Like if he showed up on the Yankees, I would say, great, delightful. That's fine. Cool. But I don't think it's happening. I don't think they're making
here MLB free agents.
I don't think they're making the major bullpen moves they should be. Jacob Junis is available. Like it's just such a bleak list of guys you last heard about in 2021. Jacob Junis was pretty good last year. But if I tell you, hey, they're adding Jacob Junis to the book, good news, we got Jacob Junis for the bullpen. You wouldn't be like, oh, my prayers are answered. You'd be like another wild card.
Yeah. So, I mean, to me, they were never in on Diaz. That's fine. Iglesias was probably always returning to the Braves based on the fact that he reportedly rejected a contract from the Dodgers. The Tyler Rogers deal, I'd never be paying that, so that's fine. The bigger misses for the Yankees here in terms of, like, what are you actually doing is, and this, some of these might not be their fault, and I'll lead off with that. Chris Martin. Would have been great. 1 year deal. He keeps signing. It's obvious though. I think he's from Texas or he lives in Texas. He wants to be closer to home. So I think that is maybe a major factor. But again, didn't hear the Yankees involved at all here. So that makes me say, did you just let the Rangers serve up the best opportunity for him for the last, however, month and a half? And then he said, yeah, you know what? Nobody else convinced me otherwise. So this is what I'll do. Emilio Pagan re-signed with the Reds for 2 years and $20 million, like one of the better closers in the league. You couldn't lure him away from Cincinnati. Does he have an affinity for Cincinnati? I doubt it, but like he was also there for the last few years, so maybe. Still, again, you're the Yankees. Figure it out. Hobie Milner had great swing and miss numbers, and he signed with the Cubs. The Cubs are acting like like an even worse poverty franchise like the Yankees at this point, like not investing big time in players and like whining about revenues and being careful about who they sign. And like the Cubs made that deal. Then the three biggest misses by far for me. Kenley Jansen, I get it. You don't want to spend big on an aging reliever, but this is a guy who pitched in the AL East for 2 years. He's a Hall of Fame closer. And when the contract details came out with the Tigers, he essentially signed a 1 year, $11 million deal. It was 2 years with a team option, and the option is either $12 million or a buyout. So it was either a 2 year, $21 million deal or a one year, $11 million deal. I don't know how the Yankees can't afford that and pair him with David Bednar. Doesn't make any sense to me. Then the other two, Ryan Helsley goes in the division, 2 years, $28 million to the Orioles. Okay, that's might be a little rich based on what he did down the stretch, and there was a regression, I think at the tail end of 2024 and then into the start of 2024, but he was still good. And you have to pay for good relievers. That's just simply how it works. Most of all, Robert Suarez. This guy was projected to get upwards of $80-90 million. He signs with the Braves for 3 years and 45 and agrees to be the setup man.
Yeah.
So you're telling me the Yankees weren't involved here to say, hey, we'll give you the same offer and you can either close here or be the setup man for David Bednar, a better closer than Raisel Iglesias. That's where my confusion is. Unless the Yankees are saving every penny to sign another free agent or to bring in a higher salary via trade. I don't know how the thing is missing on that many options and that many appeasing options. I'm not arguing that they should have signed Devin Williams. I think that price was too high. I'm not arguing they should have signed Tyler Rogers. That was an overpay from the Blue Jays that they had the luxury to make because they needed the bullpen help. Edwin Diaz, it was never happening. I can admit that. I'm not going to get mad about that. Letting him go to the Dodgers, yeah, it's tough stuff, but clearly he wanted to do there. I won't even argue not retaining Weaver. I think Kyle Finnegan would have been a cool one, but that was a little bit of an elevated price too. I'm arguing the ones where it was clear that even other teams got a discount, and other teams got a discount with a role change in some of these cases. Where are you, Yankees? Where is Brian Cashman? Where in the world is Mr. Brian Cashman?
Yeah, I can't believe what Suarez went for, and I can't believe we were involved or not involved in any capacity as far as I can tell. We're now ticking down. I mean, if you don't sign Sean Armstrong, which, again, I'd be hard-pressed to say, like, got to, can't miss, need Sean Armstrong. I mean, pick your choice at this point in time. I'm not wedded to any of these people, but we're talking about the names that are showing up in a similar spot on the list of available relievers and the value they've accrued as Mark Leiter Jr., who just, was an automatic no thank you.
Yeah.
He's got to go. Ian Hamilton, got to go. But now you're looking at the list of available free agents going, is Ian Hamilton better than most of these people? Oof. Danny Coulomb, I'm down. Justin Wilson, I am not down. Sir Anthony Dominguez, I'm down. Joe Ross, I am not down. Jorge Lopez, I am not down. Guys who've signed minor league deals are still available. Michael Kopech, fine. How much?
I would take him.
Yeah, I'll do it. But if you're going to be bringing in a bullpen arm, it's going to be either a really expensive trade for someone like Mason Miller, someone like Jeremiah Estrada of the Padres, or it's going to be a really expensive trade done in the middle of the summer, or it's going to be another freaking wild card for me to pencil in near Jake Bird and say, I guess if we get the 95th percentile outcome, this guy will be great. But will we? When's the last time we did?
Kopech was hurt last year. He's always hurt, but
he's always hurt.
If he can give you 35 innings and then be available for the postseason, it's a great asset to have. Again, cheaper. We're trying to get with the times here. If the Yankees don't want to pay for stuff, I'm giving you cheap options. They already know. They don't need us, but I'd like an answer. All I want is an answer every offseason. Just why are we not in on these guys that are going for cheap deals to other teams? Like, you could have given, I don't know, a couple extra million to Suarez or to Jansen. You could have given Jansen 1 year, $12 million. Would anybody be complaining about that? No. So, and if they want to stick with this group, that's fine. If they believe in a couple of guys, I was just looking at the roster because now I'm seriously getting confused as to who might be available. So I like Brett Hedrick last year.
I like Cade Winquist. I like all these.
I like Cade Winquist too. I thought Hedrick should have been used a little bit more last year. I think that's the other thing. Is Chase Hampton going to be ready next year? But he's also a starter. Javian Sandridge, that's another guy on the 40-man who.
How is that a guy on the 40-man?
I don't even know what he does. Is he good? No. There's a man named Kervin Castro.
Yeah, remember that? No. No, you don't. I don't either. I don't know when he arrived.
Yeah. So that's where this gets Elmer Rodriguez, starter, may not be ready for the major league roster. Are you bumping Will Warren, Luis Gil to the bullpen if you sign another pitcher? And then if so, what are their roles in the bullpen? Because Warren clearly does not have bullpen stuff and Luis Gil has walk issues. I don't know. I feel like someone smarter should be making moves, and we shouldn't have to be talking about this.
Kervin Castro kind of kicked ass at AAA last year, so maybe he's the solution. I don't know. But just want to make sure everyone who's watching and listening knows that we're not forgetting about the bullpen and the dire straits and how bad it was last year. Like, we just can't pretend like you've got to beef up that lineup. You got to build. You got to flirt with Kyle Tucker. You got to find a Tatsuya Imai to top the rotation. If you're handing 3-1 leads to this bullpen, you're winning like 50% of the time. It needs to be better. And by the way, so just a couple quick hits too. This Yankees international signings thing, I don't know what to believe and what not to believe, but Donnie Roland has been the international scouting director for the Yankees forever, and he always ties the Yankees to the top of the market. Jason Dominguez, but also in 2014, Wilkerman, Garcia, all these big names, Roderick Arias, Brando Maeda. The Yankees get a top 5 international prospect every year, and it does not seem to pan out almost ever. Jason Dominguez has potential. We've seen that potential. Real Estevan Florial. The Yankees used to dominate in the international market. Now they still spend, but they recede. They do not get the value they're supposed to be. So is that on Rollins for picking the wrong guys? Probably. They decided to let his contract expire. Is it on the development team after these guys get stateside? Absolutely. Now, it's harder to pin on them just because these aren't prospects who like rise and then hit a wall and then fall. These are guys who like join the Yankee system and just never hit over 210 with, we don't see the raw power translate. We don't see the tools. We don't see any of it. So if you are skeptical of what they've been doing, think we're in need of a change, we agree. We're down. Somehow, losing the head of international scouting seems to have changed everything the Yankees put in place through 2029. They're losing like all the names, right down to the 13-year-olds. They're losing all of these names who they made heavy contact with over the next several winters, which I can't care about it. I just can't care about it. I wonder why I refuse, because if I do care, I'll just get too angry about this house of cards collapsing. I don't know why the Yankees getting rid of their international scouting director, they're the only team I've ever seen experience this. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why everybody was loyal to the international scouting director and not the Yankees, but I digress. If Wandy Osagian, their top prospect who's supposed to sign in January, if he gets poached, then I'm going to lose it. And there were rumors in early December that he might be up for grabs. The Yankees shut that down. The Yankees told Yankees Farm follows the international signings on Twitter. They told him, we're never letting him get away. We've spent 2 years saying that if we do nothing else, we're going to sign Wandy. Don't worry about it. Then in the next week, rumor from Yankees Farm was that another team had put together a higher offer for Wandy. I don't know how you let that happen. I don't know why anybody thinks the door is open, but the Yankees clearly have allowed other teams to think the door is open. He was still seen working out in Yankees gear on December 10th. People work out in gear all the time. He's been at the Yankees facility. Now there is negotiating to do, and who is doing it? I'm not sure, but we lost the head of international scouting, which shouldn't have an after effect, but it appears to have a massive after effect based on the fact that every other international prospect is leaving the Yankees flock. And now an unsourced sketchy report yesterday indicates the Rangers are reportedly trying to give players back onto the open market so they can free up more money for Osagian. People keep assuring us that the Yankees are going to wind up with this guy, and teams never lose players they've been tied to this late in the game. But if Brian Cashman had even an inkling that this decision was going to come down to extending our current director on like a 2 or 3 year deal, or losing all of these international prospects in a row, including someone who is probably the guy with the most talent the Yankees have been attached to since Jason Dominguez, I would go ahead and give him the courtesy deal, Brian. I would.
Well, how about this? Whatever the international scouting recruiting situation was for the past 15 years was bad.
It was not good.
It was bad. The best international player that they recruited was Luis Severino, right?
One, and they've got this weird thing where the guys who they've done a good job at acquiring are the lower, but like Carlos Legrane, like these $500,000 deals versus the big money guys. The last like big money dude they really hit on was Gary Sanchez, depending on what you think hitting on a prospect is.
Yeah. So I would say Severino, Sanchez, and Dominguez were probably the top 3. Meanwhile, we could go around the league and we could probably find 15 teams who have one player that you know off the top of your head. like Braves, Ronald Acuna Jr. done.
Yeah.
Like it's just easy. Like you can, it's easy to find them. Was the strategy here the Yankees saying, fuck it, we're done with this guy and we don't care about what happens because whatever he's done over the last 15 years hasn't worked, and if we end up saving money and are able to spend it on our new recruiting efforts, that would be worth our time more? Like, I don't know. Donnie Roland just showing up to 13-year-olds' houses and dropping off bags of cash to say, sign with the Yankees in 3 years, I'll be back.
So yeah.
With his goon serving as security. Like, I don't know how this worked, or again, why there was such a cliff. The Yankees are always in on the top prospect in the international class every year. And there's been a good number of times they have signed that person. Dominguez was one. Brando Maia was another. Who was the other recent one that
Roderick Arias was number one in his class. He's the one where it's like, if you're going to botch one, that's a huge botch job.
Yeah. So they're always there. And if they're not getting the number one, they're getting the top 5. But there have been none materialize in a sustainable manner at the major league level. Gary Sanchez was, he was a prolific power hitting catcher. In reality, he had 2 good years at the major league level. And Joe Girardi didn't like his work ethic and his attitude. And then Aaron Boone allowed that to fester. And then Aaron Boone decided to bench him during the playoffs without telling him that he was doing that. And then that was the end of Gary Sanchez. So is that a good Yankees tenure to you? Does that inspire any confidence? Luis Severino, really good 2 years, year and a half, if you want to call it that, because he really faltered down the stretch in 2018 or whatever it was. Ends up being injured, not communicating injury issues with the organization, lashing out at the front office for putting him on the 60-day injured list when he would have been out for at least 45 days anyway, and then shit talks the organization on his way out. Is that a good international signing for you? So whether there is a talent issue or a personality issue, and the personality issues the Yankees have large problems with, even with their domestic recruiting in free agency and via trade. Does it really matter? We're losing a 14-year-old who's taking batting practice off a tee in the Dominican Republic right now. Like, I don't, again, I'm in your camp. Like, I can't care about this, and I don't pay attention to prospects as maybe the average fan does, because so many of them don't pan out, and then you end up just following a lesser product of minor league baseball. And you get wrapped up in getting excited about Anthony Volpe, for example, things like that. And I just can't do that because there's enough of a letdown at the major league roster anyway. So my working optimistic theory, if we want to go full 180 here, is that the Yankees said, Donnie, you're done. Thank you for everything you have accomplished, and don't really care what happens to all the other groundwork you laid, because it doesn't matter. Everything that we saw from you for the most part over the last 15 years was not good. And again, the fact that he got 15 years, insane. If you or anybody else does a bad job at your occupation for even upwards of 2 years, you're gone. And that's a job that pays $50,000 a year. This guy's making probably $500,000 a year at least. And just whiff after whiff after whiff for 15 years. I don't know. International scouting is definitely not an easy business. I'm not saying that he was a total failure or that his job should have been easy, but it's a results-based business, and there were next to no result. I guess maybe the Sanchez Severino small window bought him some time, perhaps, and the Yankees were like, hey, if he finds 2 of these guys during the later Aaron Judge window, we're kind of cooking, and it just never happened. So Cashman's probably just wiping his hands of this, saying, let's move on and figure something else out.
And I agree with that. I just cannot believe that there were the ripple effects that there were. And you look back at the last even like 5 years of international classes, there are not a lot of names that open your eyes. Always a lot of the hard work is done from the deals that you sign at the margins, the super cheap deals and the people you bring into your academy, et cetera, rather than the absolute top of the class. But yeah, hey, you pick wrong over and over and over again. Eventually, you're going to run out of runway and you're going to lose that job. But at the same time, I don't care what's happening in the future classes. It just seems very clear that the Yankees need to do whatever they can do to get Wandy Asigan in the building. I like the Yankees farm system. I hate how skittish it makes me when I'm thinking about the players transitioning from the minors to the big leagues. But it would just
the fact none of them get traded ever.
Ever. It would just, things would look so much more complete with just one elite international prospect in here. Like people in the comments asking about Lombard Jr. Can we use him? Can we use Spencer Jones? Maybe, probably. You're going to get Lombard next year. If you're going to get Jones a little bit this year if he does what we think he might do. Just running down the list. It's like endless pitching. People love Dax Kilby, who they took last year. Lombard has been toolsy, hasn't hit yet. Jones has hit for power. Great defense, but nothing else. There are all prospects are imperfect, but if you could just have one home run teenage Dominican prospect in here, you would feel so much better about the system as a whole. And they just botched that every single year. So we had to go. I just kind of can't believe that someone who failed so hard getting let go resulted in just a house of cards collapsing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whatever. Again, bring me somebody who shows results. How about this? If Wandy Asigan goes somewhere else, Wandy Asigan, the writing is there, dude. They're warning us.
I know it's already memeified.
Yeah, if he goes somewhere else and he succeeds, then that we will know that everything is just bad for the Yankees on international scouting, because that would be ridiculous if Donnie Roland's going to hit in year 16. Give me a fucking break. Speaking of year 16 of the Alex Bregman free agency pursuit, it's what it feels like. It feels like it's been 16 years.
I think he wants 16 years. So does Cody Bellinger's.
As far as demanding it. Alex Bregman.
Yeah. We'll sign off here, but I don't know the mystery team market. We talked earlier. We like to watch the Red Sox from afar. It bothers me a little bit to see Cody Bellinger somehow couldn't get a long-term deal with the Cubs the last couple of years. The Cubs had to basically pay his whole salary to get him to the Yankees last year. All it took was Cody Poteet, and we landed him. And suddenly Cody Bellinger is a guy who we have to worry about getting 7-8 years on the free agent market. Every team is competing for his services now after one good year with the Yankees. All right. Alex Bregman's market, on the other hand, was very good last year. He was an MVP candidate with the Red Sox before he got hurt. He has no suitors. We're just going to wait. Boston's eventually going to get him on a 3-year deal. That's just Bellinger 7 is totally acceptable to ask for, but Bregman, the best I could do is 3, and you're just going back to Boston. So it's nice to at least see the mystery team pop in. It seems to be the Diamondbacks. Jared Carabas seems worried. He said he's thinking it's less and less likely by the day. Of course, it's less and less likely. That doesn't mean it's unlikely he goes back to Boston. Red Sox Stats, who I trust, said legitimate intel says the Diamondbacks have an offer out that approximates Bregman's pre-winter projections. But again, what are those? Is that 5 years? Probably. I don't think it's 6. I don't think it's 7 years. Whether real or fake, Arizona's insiders still seem to think this is maybe a Scott Boras smokescreen, but whether it's legit or not, I think we can all agree that Bregman to the Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte to Seattle, and no one to Boston is the ideal outcome.
It is, but I don't understand why, unless the Ketel Marte situation is really, really bad there. I don't understand why you would sign Alex Bregman and get rid of him. Why would you not just?
No.
You could be wild card number 1 team in the NL if you add Bregman and maybe get another pitcher. As long as the Red Sox strike out here, which it seems like they're going to, because, again, they don't believe in long-term contracts, and apparently long-term is anything 4 years or above. The best part about this is the Red Sox fan hysteria on social media. It's every day. Today would be a great day to sign Alex Bregman, wouldn't it? Yeah, I mean, it would if your team decided to do that. What's crazy to me is that I think Bregman's not getting the deal he wants. I think that is at least as clear as can possibly be. The closest he was going to get, in my opinion, was what the Tigers offered him last year. It was $171.5 million. I don't know why they just didn't go to 172 or 175. But then Bregman declined that in favor of $40 million AAV. in hopes of getting probably like 160 or 70 million this year. It's what all these free agents do when they don't get the 200+ million dollar, like Blake Snell did it, right? He signed 1 year for 30 something million instead of taking the Yankees $150 million offer, and then the Dodgers paid him 182 million. So he made $62 million or whatever it was. But again, it's different when it comes to position players. Teams are much more hesitant to invest in that longer term. And the way that this is getting dragged out is wild because, again, we're not hearing about a lot of teams interested in any of these three players. Kyle Tucker, as far as I'm concerned, it's the Dodgers on a short-term deal or the Blue Jays on a long-term deal.
Mm-hmm.
And haven't heard anything about anybody else there. Alex Bregman is Red Sox, potentially Cubs, potentially Phillies, but those two teams are like kind of not really. I think the Angels should come into play here if they're going to buy out the Rendon contract.
This is how bad teams stay bad. Like, they're going to buy out Rendon, and then people are immediately Rosenthal today saying they're just going to end up grabbing Nolan Arenado.
Yeah,
like, it's old school Knicks and Bulls stuff. Yeah. Like, hey, go Knicks, right? But like the last 20 years, it's just been like, if you listen to Bill Simmons, it's always like this old terrible player who used to be good 12 years ago, be a great fit for the Knicks. Like, they should just stash Russell Westbrook's money. It's like, so you just want them to stay shitty? Like that, it feels like pundits just like want teams like the Knicks and Bulls to stay terrible. And that's the Angels, same situation. It's like, that'd be a great fit for Arenado. Really? With the end goal of what? Getting better? Or just like housing money?
Yeah, the fits here are again, it's hard to pin. Like the Yankees should be on here, in my opinion, if his market craters. And I don't know what cratering means at this point. Is it another deal that he just took from the Red Sox? We talked about that potentially being the case with Kyle Tucker because nobody wants to invest 10+ years and 300+ million in players who have proven to be a tad bit volatile or fragile over the last couple of years. In terms of other teams that can pay him, like the Tigers, I think being out on him, all the reports are suggesting they're lukewarm at best. I think that's screwing up the market big time for Bregman because that is a contending team that they have a wide open role at third base that they are filling with roving players at this point, and they're just like, nah, we're fucking good, man. Like you pissed on us last offseason, and now you can go get bent. He ain't going back to the Astros. We know that. The Mariners are not paying that much money for somebody to come to a pitcher-friendly park. And Bregman has only hit in the two most hitter-friendly parks in Major League Baseball throughout his entire career. So you just go down the list, and it's like, don't know. Really don't know what they're going to do. And does Alex Bregman view the Diamondbacks as a legitimate destination for like what he wants to do career-wise? I don't know. Also, how mysterious is it? Like, are the Diamondbacks willing to spend $175 million? Is that why this is a mystery team? I don't know. But every day that a Red Sox fan suffers mentally because of baseball news is a win for me. So if we can keep this going. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Happy Advent. However that goes. There's 12 days. It'll go further into January. Happy President's Day. Or no, is January President's Day, or is that February?
February's President's Day.
Yeah, let's get it into February. Happy President's Day. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We'll keep it going. You guys enjoy and suffer.
Yep. And for the comments saying naming these long-term deals, those are guys in their 20s who the Red Sox signed. Devers and Crochet and Roman Anthony. And they got rid of Devers because it terrified them. Yeah. This is coming from Sean McAdam this week. A prominent agent says the Red Sox, quote, don't believe in long-term deals. And clearly signing Devers to the long-term deal and then worrying he was going to become a DH ruined everything they built almost. They're still going to be good, but just unnecessary disruption because they were scared of something they did. Ruin their whole 2025 plan and beyond.
I did this? No.
So they'll give a long-term deal to a guy who's 23, 24, 25 and take him through his early 30s. But apparently they're terrified of paying any 29, 30, 31-year-old on the open market. And to that, I say, keep being scared. Like, they're not all going to work out. Many of them are going to fail down the line, but you can't survive and thrive if you just won't do it as a blanket statement.
Sure can't.
Sure can't. Well, welcome to Christmas. Welcome to Christmas. Welcome to the holidays afterwards. Maybe their misery will continue to last. Maybe we'll break the dam and do something, which sure be nice. Hot stove tonight if you want to hear from Jack Curry. If you want to pop a beer, a Corona Extra, drop that lime in. Miller Lite, Miller High Life, maybe a double IPA, maybe a quad IPA. They got those if you really want to get messed up on a Thursday night. And just listen to Jack Curry say that the Yankees are more likely to trade for a starting pitcher than sign one. That's what he's going to say. That's what he's been saying. I'm Adam Weinrib. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib. We're going to be back. We'll go live next week. We got it for the holiday as well. You'll hear from us. So if you're here for the first time, if you're on your podcast platform, if you're watching us live on YouTube or in the aftermath, hit subscribe no matter where you are. You'll get more of us heading into the offseason this week, beyond, into the new year. You can find me on Twitter at Adam Weinrib, and you always do. I know you will. So Thomas Carannante, where can the people find you?
Find me for once at Tommy's_takes. We're both at the official Yanks Go Yard account. That is at Yanks Go Yard FS. Appreciate you guys listening today. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's very easy. Little button. You click it, and then you know when we're going live. You tell your family, your friends. Simple. Head on over to yanksgoyard.com. We will not be live this time next week. We will be on Monday, but next week is Christmas. I'm not going live on Christmas, guys. Give me a break.
No.
And you shouldn't be listening to podcasts on Christmas either. So read yanksgoyard.com. There's going to be a lot of Yankee stuff that we're posting up there. And there's a lot of stuff on there right now that we haven't talked about in the last few podcast episodes. So we appreciate your guys' support. As always, have yourselves a good weekend. Monday we'll be back. Do something, anything, Yankees.
We're waiting. We've been waiting. We'll continue to wait. Until then, see ya.